According to the National Alliance of Mental Health, 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. And with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, Dr. Jose Igoa, the medical director at the Behavioral Hospital at Renaissance, joins us now at more on the signs and symptoms. Welcome, doctor.
Welcome. Thank you.
It's great to have you. And first, let's just talk about what constitutes as a mental illness.
Well, mental illnesses are really brain disorders that affect, our affect, that's our emotions, our behaviors, our cognitions, and they cause either distress to us or impair the ability to function in society. Very common illnesses and very prevalent and very handicapping illnesses.
Yeah, and a lot of people are talking about more and more, and let's just talk about the stigma that's attached to having a mental illness or having a loved one that suffers from one.
Well, unfortunately, it exists, the stigma, and it really affects everybody. It affects the patient, which is in a way discriminating in certain areas. I mean, it affects certain people are seen different even by knowing that they're on certain medications, for example, and it affects the physicians also. Psychiatrists being seen a little bit different. That you don't go to see a psychiatrist unless you are extremely ill.
Right.
But the reality is that we have lungs that get diseases, we have hearts that get diseases. Well, we happen to have a brain also that suffers from different diseases that are, as I said, very common, very prevalent. The lifetime prevalence of any mental disorder is about 20% to 25%. So 1 out of 5 people that we see in the street, 1 out of 4 people has had it, has it, or will have it. These are very prevalent and very handicapping, as I said.
And some people may just overlook it. They might be like, oh, I'm just feeling down. But what are some of the symptoms that people should look out for?
Well, the most common illnesses, of course, anxiety disorders are very common, and depression also very common. I think the fact is that we have problems differentiating what becomes an illness, right? I mean, we all have felt depressed at one point in time, or we have felt anxious if we're maybe about to lose our jobs or something like that. But it's a matter of degrees, no different than our blood sugar, our blood pressure. When it gets to a certain level, it really starts affecting us and affecting our ability to function, then it becomes a disease.
Yeah, and then that leads into the question is, when should you intervene when you notice a loved one fighting depression, anxiety on a consistent basis?
Well, I think that when all these illnesses start affecting functioning, when these illnesses start affecting biological rhythms, sleep and appetite, when the emotions get to the point where they are so intense, where there's either suicidality, or when there's problems with cognition. We're talking about different illnesses, so there's all kinds of symptoms, right? But the common ones, of course, if we go by age, in children, what we see is attention deficit disorder, the hyperactivity, right? And some autism. As we get into the adolescent age, we have more depression, and unfortunately more and more substance abuse that we're seeing. In adults, we see depressions, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, pretty much everything. And as we go towards the end of our lives, and we see more depression and the dementias, of course.
Right, and then that's when someone needs to step in and help. Well, thank you so much for discussing this important matter with us today.
Thank you for the invitation.